one. Okay, we are live. Welcome, welcome, family, to the Empower Hour. I am Alqamar.
I am Hanifah.
And we are bringing to you live and direct our super duper special guest this evening, Blue Pillar himself. Welcome, welcome, Blue Pill.
Peace, love, and light. Thank you for the invite.
I appreciate you coming on. We know you like world renowned here lately. And so you be here, there, and everywhere. You're not even home now. Where are you in the world? To the end.
Yes, I'm in Tucson, Arizona right now. I'm attending the world's biggest gym fest, the gym show.
Oh, the gym show. You said gym, crystals, yes, and gems and minerals and all those earthly things. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, well, we thank you.
Yeah, everything earthly.
Yeah, well, we certainly appreciate you, brother, joining us in your time of travel. And I know your schedule stays.
What part of the world are you in?
We're in the DMV.
Hey,
yeah, we're in the DMV in Maryland, right on the outskirts.
In Maryland, yeah, shout out to DMV. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I love the DMV.
Uh-huh.
Yes, indeed.
So our plans this evening is to talk to you about getting back to nature.
Hey.
Yeah, we thought you would be a valuable asset for the program because I know that's kind of how the way you live. As far as from the outside looking in, and from what I can gather and what I always see, and you know, your spirit, you know, you're always in tune with Mother Nature in every way, you know, internally and externally. So
yes,
we figured we'd talk to you about that, and especially in the light of the current climate right now with this whole, you know, however you want to pronounce it, a pandemic, or, you know, everybody got their own view of what's going on in the world. Yes. But what cannot be denied is that people are dropping like flies all around us, and for a myriad of different reasons. So we were hoping you would kind of shed some light on all of that for us this evening. So yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's start with I guess we could start with the food aspect. So when you think about nature as it relates to the foods we consume and how that affects us health-wise, what do you see? How do you see us today as a whole, as a collective, as a Black community, a nation within a nation, as far as our health is concerned, relating to food?
If we understand, you know, the aspect that humanity plays, right? Humanity's part of an ecosystem, right? If we want to take it even from like a biblical sense, when they talk about being born in the garden, you know what I'm saying? Everything that you need is provided to you in that particular ecosystem. You have a symbiotic relationship with the land, right? The same way that the sun is cascading on us and is giving us life, it does the same thing to the plants and the trees and everything around us. So everything is already provided. You know, everything is already provided. It's in abundance, right? And there's a level of sustenance in it that can't be duplicated because nature in its original design puts all of the necessary minerals in, the nutrients, you know, everything that we need has already been provided. But when you take us out of our natural environment, you put us in an artificial environment, then, you know, we start engaging with artificial foods because now people who, you know, want to play God, for the lack of a better term, and they say, hey, you know, that's not my necessary diet, so I'm going to go into a lab and I'm going to tweak this and tweak that. for the sake of consumerism, we don't want it to spoil. We want it to look a certain way. We want it to taste a certain way. So people started curating food, and when you start messing with creators' design, there's always going to be an issue that arises from that, because that's one egg that we haven't cracked yet. We have not figured out what goes into the sweet science of life, right? No matter how long we've been here and how much money and technology that we have, they haven't figured the basics out. So when they start tinkering and messing with things, for the sake of consumerism and capitalism, and we start playing that game, right? There's repercussions that have to be paid because of that.
Yeah.
So we're just looking at a world that's out of order. We're looking at a country that's out of order. We're looking at a people that's out of order. You know what I'm saying? And the effects that come from that is what everyone is identifying as a sickness or a pandemic or whatever it is that they're talking about. These are just the repercussions from being out of contact and out of nature with nature.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let me just because I could give you just a scientific explanation. They say that we are what we eat. So imagine a child is born. So from the ages of 0 to 1, that child is on formula, right? And from 1 to 7, it goes from Gerber to cornflakes to McDonald's to mac and cheese. You name it, right? All of this stuff is artificial. It's all made in a lab. None of it has that vibrant, natural vitality in it. We're not extracting anything from it. So if you are what you're eating, you've been eating plastic for 7 years. You know what I'm saying? Then by definition, you're plastic. And this is just a child. So by the age of 7, the Jesuits said, "What? Give me a child for 7 years, and I'm gonna give you an adult." So you just got to program that child for the first 7 years, and then that child's 95% of their subconscious is going to run their program, their life forever until you interrupt it. And there's all kind of, the difficulty that it takes to retrain the brain to do something different that has been doing habitually. We don't even have that type of discipline in this society, right? So you're on the hook for the rest of your life for something that inadvertently your parents, helped do to you. They didn't know any better, right? They have been successfully marketed in this particular society, a very faulty plan. And we bought into it, you know what I'm saying? And it was masterful marketing. Like I remember when I got caught into it. So it's almost impossible to escape it, right? So when we're looking at metrics like that, like 98% of us are going to get caught in this trap. What do we do? You feel me? Like how do you rebound from that? You know what I'm saying? How do you get any level of redress if you know that trap is super sticky, right?
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's some heavy stuff. Hanifah, you had a question?
No, go ahead.
Even down to how we relate to water. I know a lot of people in my life that can't even drink a cold or warm or lukewarm glass of water without some type of substance being in it first. Oftentimes something sweet, you got to add sugar to it or add a coloring to it or add some type of additive as opposed to accepting pure, clean, fresh water in our lives. How do you think that affects the
I remember there was a time that I didn't fancy, water. I don't know if it was because it was tap water. Like I'm 8 when we didn't have bottled water, right? I remember that. I'm saying I remember when it came along and everything. So we used to drink tap water. We would drink water in the park out of the fountains that the dogs were drinking water from. We were drinking rainwater. You know what I'm saying? We used to melt snow. I mean, we did it all. And then later on in life, I had an appreciation for water once I more so understood the science of it. So my niece, she's 7, and last summer she told me, she's like, "I don't like water." And I had to explain to her her own physiology. I said, be careful, right? Because that's you telling yourself that you don't like yourself. If you're 70% of water and you're saying that you don't like it, and water contains memory, right? It retains memory in it. You're programming yourself, right, to say, I don't like me.
Wow.
So I said, you got to find you a way to incorporate water and to change your relationship with water, right? We don't have a very good relationship with water. And I do think that that affects our relationship, point blank, period, especially melanated people when we're looking to achieve unity and come together, right? Because water bonds. There's a scientific aspect when you understand H2O and the bonding factor that goes into water. You know what I'm saying? So for us not having a healthy relationship with water, I feel that it translates into us not having a healthy relationship with one another.
That's heavy. Now,
So I know just a minute ago you talked about this trap that so many of us have found ourselves in because the most significant stages in our development, as far as early childhood goes, our parents and what they feed us. And you asked the question of, so what do we do? Can we begin to talk about that in how we can begin as a people to undo some of these things, because it didn't happen overnight. So we know undoing is not going to happen in 24, 48 hours. So can we go into that? Like, what are your thoughts around that? What are some of the
Um,
things that we could begin to do?
you know, what we're doing right now in terms of the education, you feel
Mhm.
me? I find ways to explain things to people that is almost shocking, without being disrespectful. I have to disrupt your comfort enough where you're thinking like, wow, I didn't even think about it like that.
Mhm.
So until you interrupt somebody's perception, you know, you're not gonna be able to even engage them, right? Because they gotta see it within themselves to be like, okay, well that makes sense. Well, and then they start thinking about their own personal life. When I used to do this, the result was that. But when I did this, I felt a little bit better, right? And these personal decisions have to be made. And we're not with people in their homes every single day to direct them. So we have to catch them where we can catch them, and engage them with conversations like this to make them think.
Mhm.
And, they'll be able to best qualify in their own personal space what kind of changes need to be made, right? For them to feel better, for them to start, tapping into vitality. Like, you have an accent, I can't necessarily say where you're from. I ask you where your people from.
Oh, the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Okay, my people from the Virgin Islands as well. My people from St. Croix.
Yeah, I
So
know.
this was my mother's story. She wasn't exposed to this here in the States, and then she got sick. Oh no, her daughter at the time got sick, and she was stressed from going back and forth to the hospital. So she asked her mother, what can I do? And her mother said, well, her mother said, I've never been sick in my life.
Mm.
And she was like, that didn't even make sense to her. She's like, what do you mean you've never been sick? And she said, in my country, every morning they would feed us bush tea,
Mhm.
right? And we didn't go. She's like, we couldn't even go to the hospital if we wanted to because of the Dutch, right? Or the Danes for that matter.
Mhm.
The hospitals was only for them, but they didn't need the hospitals. So my mother had to go back to St. Croix to find that information. And then she was introduced to the vitality of the life that comes from the food on the island and the actual environment that started feeding into her.
Mhm.
So she was compelled, based on some discomfort, to get an answer. And then when she got the answer, she moved on it. And then she was able to have an experience that would not allow her to go back to what she was doing prior to that. So it has to be that real in people's lives. You feel me? I feel that we should unplug from the environment, point blank, period, because there's a scientist named Bruce Lipton, and he has a study out, a book that he wrote called The Biology of Belief.
Yes.
And he says that, your DNA is informed and impacted directly by your environment. It's not genes,
Yes.
it's not genetics. You're not getting past diseases, things of that nature. Your environment right? It's signaling your DNA to do different things to conform to your environment. So if you live in a concrete jungle, mind you, this is not an experiment. This is not a social experiment that's 100+ years old. Our people migrated from the South in the 30s, 40s, and the 50s. It ain't that long since we've been in metropolis cities living in concrete jungles, you know what I'm saying, with no connection whatsoever to Mother Earth. It hasn't been that long, but we can see where that social experiment has led us. If you look at it in a 50 to a 60-year, clip, so and then that goes into explaining to people what grounding is about, the fact that the physical earth, the dirt, has electromagnetism on it, right? When the sun hits the planet, the electromagnetism hovers on the surface. Your foot has all of the nerve endings that connect to every part of your body. So when you stand on the ground, when you stand on the dirt, you're actually recharging and feeding your entire vessel that electrical current that you need to, put life back in your body. If I'm 40 years old, right? If you add up the amount of time, the accumulative amount of time that a 40-year-old has stood on the earth, it's almost less than a year in their 40-year lifespan, right? And for almost less than a year out of 40 years, have you been in contact with the earth? So not only do you live in a concrete jungle, but you're standing on insulated shoes, right, with rubber on them. Electricity can't pass through rubber. That started in the 60s, right? Rubber sole shoes, our people wearing sneakers and tennis shoes, because that's what y'all call it in the DMV. That hasn't been our historical record. We weren't doing that before the 60s. So we can probably even look at, our people's medical diagnoses post 1960, and we see all of these things that we have now become main candidates of. My mother said she remember when she was younger, Black people didn't have diabetes. That's not something that we had. That was something that they had, right? So there's mad things that we can look at that have recently happened to us, and we got to ask ourselves why these things happen to us. I think the city life is a failed experiment, and we have to get back to nature, right? We have to, because it's the life force.
Yeah, even as it relates to people who would hear you talk like this and it's foreign to them, they may be hearing a lot of this stuff for the first time, and they feel like, well, maybe I can just change my diet, without even understanding that the standard American diet that's not, what I'm saying? Even if changing up some things within the standard American diet won't necessarily bring us back to nature.
No, because it's not available. There's no vitality in the diet, period. My stepfather, Dr. Sabi, would always say the only thing that you can find in the supermarket that's alive or that's real was a coconut, the brown ones at the time. You know what I'm saying? And they got supermarkets, mega ones. And there's no life in that entire supermarket. Everything is GMO or it's artificial. So what are you going to change in the SAD diet? What are you going to change in the standard American diet? That's the acronym SAD, right? Stress, anxiety, and depression. These are clinical terms that they utilize. They'll talk about diet in one hand, and then they'll talk about, the psychosis of America in the next, and they go hand in hand, right? The food is causing people stress, anxiety, and depression. The standard American diet is. So you got to get out of America.
Wow.
Or at least the mindset, right? That this country is good for, and when I say the country, I don't mean the landmass, right? I mean the politics and the way that this thing, the geopolitical situation, the socio-economical situation, the way that this thing is formatted, it's a death culture. And it's run by the medical mafia, who they're like, look, our business is to not cure anything, but keep you on the string long enough that we can milk you. You feel me? And then tax you in death.
Yeah.
So they're not even in the healing business.
Right.
So they could care less. Like you can't have the Food and the Drug Administration is an oxymoron because the food is drugs.
Mm.
How would you regulate that? So we got to get out of the whole concept to say, yo, I need some real food. How you gonna get to that? Where you gonna find real food at?
Yeah.
So as you were talking about Bruce Lipton, I know his in that particular book, he keeps driving the point. It's the genes, stupid, right? Throughout the book, you kind of see that theme. And when I read that book, I'm just like, okay, so adaptation is taking place like on a cellular level. Our environment changes us on a cellular level. We need to understand what that means, which means you change the environment, the genes then begin to adapt to the new environment, and therefore you begin to change
Yes.
the individual. So I understand that. So when you're talking, I'm just like, so are we, but you ended up saying it. I'm like, okay, so are we going in the direction of y'all need to get up out of America? Now, I always go to this, brother Pill, blue pill.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of us that can't make that move in, let's say, within the next 5 years. What are some of the things that people can do? Can they begin to maybe create their own space within this environment to
Yeah,
work
yeah. There's permaculture techniques where you can grow food in your own home, you know, or directly in your environment on the roof or what have you. I was growing avocados in Atlanta this winter. I
Mm,
have guava trees. I got mango trees that I was growing in that environment. I met an Indonesian. They know how to grow tropical fruits and tropical trees in any climate. You know, of course, they recommended that we get a greenhouse, but they were growing it right inside of the house as well. And Atlanta doesn't have the best amount of sunlight in the winter. You know what I'm saying? There's really no vitamin D. It's not close to the equator or anything. It's not like it's Miami, but there's still things that can be done directly, you know, where you're at, but not necessarily outside of you taking control. There was another brother, Shaka Bars, Fruits and Roots. I order
mhm.
boxes from him every week for tropical fruits. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to still get that vitality and that nutrition, you know, by ordering it. Um, Again, like I said, growing my own food, ordering it from places that I know, still maintain a level of vitality. I have friends that was going down to Miami every 2 weeks, and they would still get the coconuts off the trees and bring that back, and we would have coconut water, gallons of it. You know what I'm saying? I would heat up the meat. So there's still things that I've personally done because I'm still here in the country just like you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? But these are the things that I do to make sure that I'm still putting life inside of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
What would you say are the major danger zones as it relates to food-like substances that we consume on a regular basis? I mean, if it was, if you was talking to somebody that you love deeply and they listened to your every word and you just told them these are the three things that just stay away from. If you could stay away from, these
I would tell
are the
them
main
refined
things.
sugar. Yeah, I would say refined sugar.
Uh-oh, did he
You
freeze?
still with us, Pillar? Uh-oh. You might have to log off. Okay, there we go.
You're on mute.
You on mute.
Mute. We can't hear you. Oh, no, you're on mute. We can't hear you. Uh-oh. Oh, he gotta come out and go back
All
in.
right, family, give him a second. We are talking to Blue Pillar. talking about getting back to nature, some of the things that we do on a regular basis, that we can be changing up and doing differently for a better result, you know, as it relates to health and wellness and a holistic way of life. So hang in there with us. We got some technical glitches, but I'm sure he'll go come back on with us in a second. Take this minute to share, family. Share the stream for us. Click the thumbs up button. Give us some love. Subscribe to our channel. We're on the Empower Hour Talk Show. We come to you each and every Monday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with different topics of the discussion, just like this. So we encourage you guys to, you know, join the crew. Join the crew. It's an interactive discussion, as you will see. We will definitely come to your questions. So get them out there. Shoot them out there for us. Let me make sure he's not trying to reach me some other way. Oh, here we go. Yep. So get them out there, get your questions. We're going to come to you soon so he can answer some of your questions. We see Ola on the stream and see, thank you, Katisha, Sheldon. Appreciate you guys tuning in week after week. Okay, we got you back. Can you hear me? Okay, cool.
Yes.
Oh man, I forget where you left off.
You had number one.
You were asking me the question about the 3 different foods or substances. I would definitely, number 1 would be refined sugars, right? And good luck.
It's in everything.
And everything, right? I would say, you know, table salt, iodine.
Oh, interesting.
You know, and I definitely would say like white flour, things that are white flour based, you know, refined flours.
Yeah. Okay, now why table salt?
Oh, because the iodine, you know, it's not a natural source. Use Himalayan salt, right? Different level of sea salts, but not the table salt.
Wow. So that was, so you mean that they just add more, it's another additive that they even put in raw salt?
Refined. Yeah, it's refined as well.
Wow. Interesting. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about what's on the tongues of most of us these days, which is this whole virus, coronavirus, COVID-19. How does the food scenario affect our bodies as it relates to this virus? Do you think that?
You know, yeah, I explained earlier that, you know, food is directly connected to it because it's an immunity issue, right? And what is responsible for building up your immunity, aiding and assisting it? You know what I'm saying? What is responsible for our people having pre-existing conditions? Everything is diet-based, right? It's not genetic-based. They didn't inherit those diseases. They contracted them by way of, you know, what they're eating. So it all comes back down to the food at the end of the day. You know, the only way that you're going to be able to protect yourself from the situation is not a jab in the arm. It's by lifestyle change, prioritizing your health, building up your immunity. You know what I'm saying? So you would be immune. You know, anything outside of that is a toss-up. Because people still getting the jab and still getting the virus.
Right.
That's what I'm reading.
Right, and they're still dying.
And they still dying. So
even the ones that got the jab is still dying.
Right. So the only successful cases that I know are people that's like, yo, I took care of my immunity. I ate a particular way, and I was around people. I've been around mad people that had the stuff. I never got sick. I was treating people during COVID last year, every day, damn near, and I never had any situations, any incidents, right? Because I prioritized my health and said, you know, I'm gonna do whatever. I'm gonna receive the signal from the universe that these are different times, and it's time to really stop playing games, and you know, because I've dabbled before. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm sure everybody else has.
Yes.
You know, you like nobody's looking.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
that's real talk.
and yeah, but now it's too costly.
Yeah.
So it requires, you know, they're catching so many people because again, we lack discipline.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? We
I
lack,
was just about to ask you, what do you think? Why do you think it's so difficult for so many people, so many of us to accept that point of, you know, if we know that that's what it takes, why don't we move in that direction, changing our diet and making our immune system healthier?
because food is our comfort. You know what I'm saying? And it's the last thing that you want to allow somebody to take from you because it provides you a sense of peace when nothing else in the world seems to show up for you. You always got that bag of chips. You always got that, you know, spool of ice cream, right? It's gonna be there for you. You like, you know, world is shitty, but this ice cream,
That makes sense.
I love you. You know what I'm saying? You loves me back.
Yes.
You know, you don't talk back, you don't cheat on me, you don't do none of that. So, you know, it ineffectively has become like our crutch. So people is like, damn, you take that from me, what do I have? You know what I mean? Again, it's the marketing, right? Peace. It's the you know, what do they call it? The convenience, right? Hence the fact convenience stores are open 24/7. You can go get poison anytime you want, off at any corner in America. I couldn't find a banana in Harlem past 9 p.m. before Whole Foods came. Couldn't find a banana in a place like Harlem, right? So you got to go the extra step and the extra mile. They know that you're not gonna do that because you haven't been programmed to do that. We not the generation where we like, yo, our parents walk 5 miles every day to go to school and they ain't have shoes on. We not the generation, or we don't come from a part of the planet where we like, yo, they had to walk 10 miles to get a bucket of water to come back, right? So somebody can take a bath to walk 10 or 5 more miles to go to school, right? To learn Lord knows who, you know, Lord knows what. Like we're not we want the convenience, my nigga. Like, oh, call a Uber. What are you talking about? I ain't walking nowhere. So that's who we become. They've exploited the fact that we are a lazy people, a microwave society. You know what I'm saying? We just want to kick back and relax. We don't want the responsibilities. We want to offset that on whoever is willing to take it for the right price. And if it's for free, even better. Like you want to take my problems for free? Shit, I got a suitcase full of them. But if you got to go the extra step, like we're not formatted for that. And that's what's so scary, that we're moving into this new world, this global reset, and you know, with the financial aspect and cryptocurrency, what it represents by way of decentralized finance, DeFi. It's like if you can be the man, right? You've always said that you wanted to be in charge. You've always wanted to be in control. You always complained about the European got his foot on your neck. But now the power is accessible to you. But it might be a 10-step process, right?
Yeah.
You don't got nobody else to fall back on. You got to know your seed codes. You gotta do this. You got to do that. It's mad steps involved. That alone is going to take about 60% of people out of the game, because they're not designed and programmed to be like, I got to do what? I'm used to pressing a remote and making something happen, you know what I'm saying, in a flick of a wrist. And now we're going into a new world where things are totally different. So I'm like, how is the majority of the people, how are they going to fare in this new world that requires a different level of, you know, dedication, a different level of focus, a different level of application, you know what I'm saying? And a different mentality altogether. It's like, can you plant a seed that will sow 10 years from now? Can you do that today? Are you disciplined enough to do that? Are you even programmed to think 10 years from now? Do you even think that you'll be around from 10 years from now?
Mhm.
You feel me? And even if you won't, are you, selfless enough to think about your children? Because
Yeah,
they'll be around for it,
right.
But you know, as you're
right?
talking, we're talking a lot about like investments. You hear a lot of chatter these days about investments, crypto, stocks, everything. And as you're speaking, I'm just like, your health is also an investment, because if you begin to take care of your body now, like you said, if you can see 10 years forward, you're investing into your own self as well. So it's, I wonder how we can get our people to view health as an investment as well.
I mean, both things happened last year simultaneously, at least with me seeing the wave.
Mhm.
It was the wave. They were selling CMOS over here, and then they was doing crypto over there. And some people figured out how to do both, right? But they like, all right, I'm gonna prioritize my health and I'm gonna focus on my finances.
Yes.
And yeah, for those who figured out, how both of those things related, you know what I'm saying? They probably more so they out here winning. For
Yeah.
for those who put more energy, and the ones some of them that did came to me, yo, I just focused on finances last. I got to the bag, but now I need 5 gallons of sea moss because I wasn't taking care of myself,
Mm.
right? But now that they've secured a steady flow with their finances, now they get into their health. Then there's people who got to their health that didn't get to their finances, then now they get into their finances. So it's like, it's cool, right? But if you somebody that's doing neither,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that they already got you earmarked. You know what I'm saying? They got some nasty, things on the horizon for people that's not willing to listen to their own higher calling. You
Speaking of,
know, when I look at the European and the global, and this is not, I don't want to come across as disrespectful or I don't hate nobody. I don't have no hate in me. I just observe the world and I put things in perspective so it can make sense to myself. And then when it registers with me, I share it with other people with the hopes that, hey, I'm like, maybe this can help you
mm,
see the world different, because we get caught up on things being so difficult and sometimes they're not.
mhm, mhm,
So I'm like, look, I'm like, white blood cells, what are the job of white blood cells in the body? If we're looking at the world like it's a body and there's trillions of cells in the body, right? I'm like, well, what do white blood cells do? Right? They clean up, they kill off diseases and they clean stuff up. So I'm like, what if these people have been commissioned
mm,
by some level of a creative force to
mhm,
be the fire underneath you, right?
mm,
And your unwillingness to answer your higher calling, they got to clean you up by doing diabolical things that we think is quote unquote evil. It's like, yo, the body got to serve a function. There's certain cells in the body that do what needs to be done for you to sustain life.
mm,
You wouldn't think that it was, it wouldn't look cute if you looked at it underneath the microscope, but it's still
mm.
necessary.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, hence the reset. Hence the
Mhm.
total reset. Speaking of
Yeah.
putting where you put your energy, when you mentioned that, I thought about the media today and how that affects our energy levels as well as to where we choose to direct our energy. Can you talk a little bit about that in these days and how that affects us?
Well, I can't honestly tell you the last time that like I sat down and watched a news program from front beginning to end. You know what I mean? So I do everything that I humanly possibly can to guard myself, right, from those signals and that programming, because I can see the effects of it on other people who are near and dear to me, right? When they get boggled down with the programming, you know what I'm saying? And it doesn't fare them too well. Um, yeah, I can see the fear. I can just see how it works. I can see how like I've been uninvited, in my own family to certain functions. You know what I'm saying? Because they're like, man, you out there with you know what I'm saying, out there in the world. And I thought I was doing a good thing with what it was that I was doing, but somebody saw it differently based on their programming. So they're sitting in front of the TV every day, looking at the news, and the fear has taken them over. So they're looking at me as a threat because I'm out in the world around other people. I don't have a mask on. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, yo, you can't come around us because you might have that thing. I'm not showing no signs of sickness or anything, but the news is drawing this line in their minds mentally that they're like, it's us versus them. And that person could be a threat, even if that person can potentially be the help.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what got into you? And they're like, well, you know, on the news they said such and such. And I'm like, you listening to that? And they're like, who else are we supposed to listen to? I was like, wow. These are people who know better, who have told me differently all of my life and trained me up to see certain things in the world the way that I see them now.
Yes.
They totally forgot.
Yes.
I'd be like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I don't know if y'all saw that movie, but sometimes I wonder, I'm like, did they get my folks? Because this can't be the same person. But fear is
Real.
you know what I'm saying? Until you see fear on a person, because these are people that I've never seen fearful of anything else. Totally fearless, lived through crack cocaine eras around zombies, stick up shootouts, all of that.
Wow.
But now they have this invisible enemy, right? And they terrified. They won't even leave their house. And they won't let me come around. Because they like, you don't got the jab in your arm. You know what I'm saying? They didn't even ask me if I took the test. They were just like, no, you're out there. We see you on the internet and you're around people. And no, you no, my health is in jeopardy if you come around me.
Wow. Yeah, it's deep.
That was deep.
And you know what
So
else? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I saw media do that to people that I love, that are direct. This is like bloodline.
Yeah. That's real. And what I noticed too is the media has the capacity to strip away options and choices in your mind. You conclude that I don't have no other choice but to get a shot. And I'm like, wait, where are you getting that from? There's a myriad, a multiple of different choices out here that have a much greater potential to save your life. And in fact, the vaccination might do the total opposite. This experimentation, it's not a vaccine, it's experimentation drug.
Yeah, it's a medical experiment. But
yeah, but the media
that's not being
have no other
told to
choice.
them. The media is not telling them that version of the story, right? And social media has already been maligned through the Trump years as fake news, right? Even mainstream media. I don't know how people can go from living under that level of a presidency and the whole presidency was about fake news. And all of a sudden now, people are listening to the talking heads who they saw get exposed over 4 years as telling blatant lies, don't know what they're talking about, right? Tomfooleries is a circus show, but now these people are the ones that are telling you how to live your life after all these years. I'm talking about folks that are 60, 70, and 80 years old. They have been around and they've seen the entire program play out. Now, all of a sudden, right? They're looking at these people and listening to what they're saying and following. I don't know if there's a signal coming out of that TV. I just have no idea. But that combined with a bad diet, yeah, that's it's like the zombie apocalypse. You have to draw the line. You have to draw the line, you know? So
Go ahead, Hanifah.
No, I was gonna say, can you speak to at what point did our people begin to use, or just people in general, begin to use food more for pleasure than for what is intended for, like maybe energy or to go throughout your day? When was it?
at
Huh?
No, no, you go ahead, please.
No, I was gonna say.
Finish. I wanted you to finish.
Oh, I was gonna say that. Would you say that happened when they started adding all these things to the food? So now people are actually dependent on the food for pleasure versus what is it?
Yeah, there was a combination. The advent of the supermarket, right? Again, I'm using terms that might have been staples in people's lives for their entire life, right? But it has not always been around. It has not always been how things have been done. Our people have not always gone to shop in supermarkets,
Right.
right? That has not been something that we was always doing. We used to still go to, I remember we was going to mom and pops, you know what I'm saying? You get your basics and what have you. And the supermarkets and the big box stores came in the 90s, right? Well, the supermarkets before that, like maybe in the 80s, I started recognizing, the key foods and the C towns and the associated and the wall bounds. And, everybody started going to big box. I mean, they started going to supermarkets, then the big box stores come, Costco's, Sam Clubs, X, Y, and Z. So when a people don't have discipline, again, right? We're not a society or a culture. We're a society or a culture that says if you can afford it, then you deserve it, right? So it's like shit. If I've been right, I remember when I didn't have, but now I can get. I'm a double up. I'm a triple up, right? I want to get the big box of Frosted Flakes with the extra sugar on it. Because I remember a time when I only had cornflakes. You know what I'm saying? And I was in my feelings because, Tony the Tiger was cool. And I had to sit there watching all these commercials, right? But I ain't have Frosted Flakes. I only had cornflakes. There was a big difference. So depriving somebody of something, right, makes them want it even more. And when they have the ability to have access to it, like I said, the convenience, right? When poison became so convenient, we became overindulgent because we don't have nothing in us that tells us stop or no. It's like, shit, well, if it's 10 of them on the shelf and I can afford on 10, why can't I have all 10? There's nobody to play the angel on the shoulder, right? Just telling the devil no. There's nothing there. There's nothing. We don't have no backboard in society to bounce that off of other than our own conscience. And our own conscience, it gets drowned out by groupthink. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that, again, masterful marketing is going to tell you different. They were supersizing food and I'm like, it was already a Big Mac. You gonna make it a bigger Mac? Why? Like, I remember, the double. You already had 2 patties of beef on the Whopper joints. How you gonna do 4 now?
Wow. Plus bacon.
I remember when all of this stuff took place, and I remember my own mental reaction to watching the marketing of it all. Like, damn, we doing that now? You know what I'm saying? And then now you see the effects of it. You might have been in your home watching a commercial, but you come outside. Okay, we the leader in obesity in the whole world. You know what I'm saying? We the leader, melanated people in particular, heart disease in the whole world. And we don't ask, well, how did that happen?
Right.
Because it's a simple question. It could be private, it could be public, it could be internal, it could be external. You could ask, but our negligence to even ask these questions puts us in a predicament where we've primed ourselves for anything, any and everything. They can do whatever they want at this point because we're not even tackling the stuff that's right in front of us that you can bust up just by asking questions.
Yeah. You're right, because the whole Popeye's chicken scenario kind of mind when you said they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, mind you, what it predated or preceded COVID only by a month or 2, only by a month or 2.
That's true.
Did the Popeyes thing, and we were sitting there saying, what? Yo, if y'all turn into zombies and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Don't forget what this whole thing was like. What are they putting in that stuff that's making you run down on it like that?
Yeah.
You feel me? And then that was directly connected. I just want to put some into perspective. Like
Mhm.
the Popeyes company is owned by a Brazilian company. And this Brazilian company, right, was paramount in the cattle farming in the broad scale burning of the Amazon, right, to clear space where they can graze, more cows for cattle farming and raise more chickens and all of the stuff that they were doing that you would have to do in order to feed billions of people, right, daily who are eating these foods. Like, all right, where's this food coming from, right? Because there's hell a lot of people on the planet and they're consuming this stuff daily and you're supposed to have it fresh. Where is this stuff coming from, right? So the burning of the Amazon, we said during that time in 2019, we said this has to have global ramifications because the Amazons is the lungs of the planet. In the same way that your lungs have those different, those, those, those hairs, those thin hairs, right? They capture, like you got nose hairs, right? And your nose hairs are there. So different particles don't travel up the orifice. These are the openings in our bodies. This is where pathogens and viruses and stuff like that will gain entrance. Your lungs has those hairs in it as well, where it sweeps things out and don't allow things to get in. Think about it like this: like, remember when we go to the car wash and they be having them fibers, they be whipping and stuff like that, right? Your lungs work somewhat like that. So if you burn down or destroy the lungs of the planet, right? Technically, right, they're gonna release different pathogens that have been trapped in the forests or the jungles.
Oh, wow.
And then they're not gonna have any protection for anything else that's coming on a drift. And you got glacier caps, you have all of this stuff melting on the other side of the planet in the Antarctica, and all of those viruses and microbes that have been are now coming to the surface, and they're catching trade winds and Gulf streams and things of that nature in Fukushima, right? Of which I believe yesterday was about the 10-year anniversary of, and nobody even said anything, right? But Fukushima also, if anybody doesn't know what Fukushima is, 4/11/2010 or 2011, it might have been 2010. So this will make it the 11-year anniversary. It's when they had a twin disaster in Japan, an earthquake and a tsunami that resulted in the nuclear reactor, right, going
Chernobyl,
offline, right?
Chernobyl?
Huh? No, it was Fukushima.
Okay. Okay.
And all of the radiation spilled into the ocean, and they killed off a good portion of the ocean with this radiation. Nobody speaks about that. People are still eating shellfish to this day. So all of these factors going in, you know what I'm saying? In case in point, because Brazil is a hotbed right now for super variants, right? Super mutated forms of COVID are coming from Brazil, and nobody seems to know why. You can't blame it on the prostitutes because they shut off the brothels and they wasn't laying up with them dirty ass European men. So you can't say that it's that, right? You can't say, oh, it's mutated because people are putting these different germs together and coming up. No, that's not it. It has to do with the Amazon, because the Amazon, the indigenous tribes in the Amazon that are isolated from humanity have been impacted and adversely affected by COVID. How is COVID reaching them, right, in unreachable places? It has to have something to do with that environment, with the biggest rainforest on the planet, the lungs of the planet. Because what does it do? It attacks the lungs, right? So you got to make these connections and correlations. You know what I mean? COVID hit a pivotal a period, a junction point last year during Gemini season. And I said, wait until Gemini come. You know what I'm saying? Because Gemini will be able to tell you the difference because it governs the lungs and it governs the mind. And this is when George Floyd happened and Black people felt fed up. And they said, look, bump this COVID, we coming outside, right? That's what we made. So that was our making or breaking. Because prior to George Floyd, COVID was almost disappearing. Little Baby put it in the song. What happened to COVID? COVID took a turn for the better after we had did a global meditation on April 4th. And by the time April 6th came around, which was that Monday, the Surgeon General came on TV and said, look, I don't know what happened, but we turned a curve on COVID. And we did a global meditation. And the next day we saw that the Schumann resonance of the planet was peaking in a way that it had never peaked before, right? It was off the charts. So people were putting their passion in a global meditation, utilizing a quantum mind, right, to signal to the universe that they have had enough. And then Floyd George happened, or George Floyd, I get mixed up to this day. You know what I'm saying? And then the people hit the streets in the millions. And then, you know, eventually it didn't happen right away. But then COVID became a thing again. You know what I'm saying? So I have a tendency to look at nature and make correlations to our biology and our bodies because I know that we have a symbiotic relationship. I factor everything in when I'm making my assessments, you know?
Yeah.
Because it makes sense. It all shows, you know, it proves itself to have a level of merit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So who am I to not say, oh, this don't make sense? I'm very imaginative, but I'm not making stuff up. There's a difference.
Right.
You know, we just making these connections because they're there. So I'm like, yeah, we have a connection. You know, the more that they destroy this planet, the more that they release, you know, different pathogens that have been dormant, you know what I'm saying, for millions of years. Yeah, we're gonna need to even be more fortified, and our immune system is gonna have to be even more stronger because they can't come up with enough shots in time, right, to get you right from this super strain and this super strain and the super strain that might be on the way 3 or 4 years from now. It's like, how many shots you gonna get? Why you just don't decide to, you know, build yourself up and do what's necessary? You know what I mean? To protect yourself against the unexpected. You know, like whatever happened, I know that I was doing what I was supposed to do, so I don't gotta worry about that. But they, you know, they know Americans better than Americans know themselves. So they're like, oh, you know, we're gonna give you this, we're gonna give you an offer to take this shot so you can run back out there and do the base things that you've been doing that you can't wait to get back out there to do. Right? You just want to run back out there to poison yourself again and put yourself in poisonous environments. You know what I mean? And they know that.
That's great.
They know that.
Go ahead. Yeah. Mabuya on the stream, going back to the radiation in the sea. She says, Radical Sister on YouTube says that we should not consume sea moss because of Fukushima. What's your thoughts around that?
Yeah. Sea moss has the highest concentration of iodine out of any plant in the planet, right? So she would have to specify, I could see if she could target a specific region on the planet that she could say, yo, sea moss shouldn't come from here, or sea moss that comes from here, we shouldn't consume that particular sea moss, right? Iodine has the ability to convert radiation, right? So the only thing that will protect you from radiation on the planet technically is sea moss.
Oh, wow.
Or any food that has a high concentration of iodine, because the radiation is going to affect your thyroid, and that's how it shuts you down. And the only thing that can heal you from that is iodine. So where are you going to get your iodine from if it's not sea moss? You have to get it from a green algae family, right? Whether it's kelp, whether it's seaweed.
but CMOS has some of the best, um, what should I say, biologically arranged iodine that your body can extract and use, right? The radiation from Fukushima didn't get into every aspect. Chondrus crispus comes from cold water regions, right? In the north, like Canada, Ireland, shit like that. Like I don't think that Fukushima is impacting those regions necessarily. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Good
I
stuff.
know that with the volcano erupting, a lot of people in the CMOS business gonna get jacked up because they was getting their stuff from St. Vincent.
Right.
So that's gonna throw it off. You feel me? So no, I don't agree with that.
Okay. And I know you travel, and we got a couple of minutes left on the program. We want to get
That's
in.
it.
That's it. I know, right? And I can sit and
Come
listen
on
to you all night because you're just a wealth of knowledge. But I did want to ask a question. I was listening to something you was talking about online a few weeks back, and you mentioned the biosphere, the new, the kind of biology biosphere coming up. And a question came to my mind. I was like, is that a part of nature? This new, what's the word I'm looking for? This new cyber world we find ourselves getting deeper and deeper in with everything.
Well, that's not, that's the technosphere.
Okay.
The technosphere is like the matrix, right? It's just another word for the technosphere is the matrix. This is just the matrix where we're talking about anything digital or virtual is the matrix. The biosphere is nature. The biosphere is the ecosystem that I'm saying that we exist in. We have a symbiotic relationship with. I was hiking out here in the mountains of Arizona, yesterday in vortex zones, just getting charged up. That's the biosphere.
Okay.
If I was doing that with my VR goggles on, I would be in the technosphere though. And the world that we're moving into is a symbiosis between both of those spheres. They call it the noosphere, noosphere. Noosphere is a combination of both of those dynamics, and that is still forming itself. It's not something that's completely templated that we could be like, all right, what does that look like? Yo, I built my crib out of hempcrete, but my crib is a smart home. Yo, I built my crib out of air foam. Yo, I got a geodetic dome. Yo, I got a earth ship that I built out of Adobe and glass, and you know what I'm saying? But I got it wired up where it's a smart crib as well. I put some chips in it. You know what I'm saying? I could clap. I could tell Alexis to turn the lights off and to do it. But Alexis is not a machine. Now she's in the wall. Right? That's the fourth industrial revolution that's upon us. The fourth industrial revolution, once again, is the merger between biology and cybernetics. Those two mergers, however they show up. So cryptocurrency is an aspect of what that's moving into. You know what I'm saying? We are in this Aquarian age post conjunction. So you're going to see a lot of this, right? Transhumanism. The precursors to that is, let me leave that alone.
No.
Y'all in the DMV. I don't.
No, don't leave it alone. Don't do that.
I won't be able to walk down Avenue K again and let me chill, yo.
We need to know.
They do shit different out there. I've been
curious minds.
Can't walk down Avenue H no more. They be shooting at me. I ain't trying to.
National Guard surrounding the whole city, but we need to know. Oh, please tell us.
We don't got enough time. We got to come back for that. And I will come with my science because, again, I am not into disrespecting nobody's thing. You know what I'm saying? I like when I approach it from science just to show the facts without the chastisement, judgment. I don't believe in that. You know what I'm saying? I believe that that's a sin.
judgment. You know, we can't play God. You know,
Yeah. Oh no. Please tell me we didn't lose you again. No. Are you there?
I'm here. You don't hear me?
Oh, okay, okay. Cool, cool, cool.
See, the senses already came from me. It's like, man, he
Yeah.
about to go to.
You know, your last point before you went in and out about not being judgment and and
Yeah, yeah.
it's my observation as to why I think that so many of our youth flock to you. I noticed your audience, your core, to me, it seemed like a lot of your core audience is the young folk. They really cling to you and attach to you. And I believe that I think that that's one reason why, because
But
of the
look, I'm on
message
a I'm
teaching.
on a retreat right now,
Mhm.
and I got it's elders inside that this home that I'm about to go into. They said that they got a whole club. They 75 and older, and they listen to me.
They listen to you too? Well, I know, oh, like my
They
daughter.
said they got a group text anytime I go live, or if I'm on YouTube, they send a text out and they all tune in.
Cool.
So,
Beautiful.
I think it comes met a 4-year-old that listens to me diligently. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I meet all kind of people from every type of walks. I met a bunch of white boys, Europeans, when I was out here in Arizona. They're like rockers and skateboarders, and they listen
Mm.
to my information.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So you really can't put a face to it per se. I just think that truth resonates, and like I always say, I wish that there was someone like me that I can just tune into and get different perspectives, right?
Mhm.
Different perspectives. It's like if I got you to think without having to beat you up to do it,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's like it should be no foul, no harm.
Yeah.
I need you to do this on your own per se, just with me helping, pushing a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And pointing you in the right direction, but I can't do it for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can only tell you what works for me and what I research and what my thoughts are based on that level of research, because I've thoroughly analyzed something before I brought it to the public.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the purest form of love, Blue Pillar. I really do. So I definitely appreciate you, your brother, and those like you guys who are have that intelligence in how you choose to teach. Good
Thank you.
stuff. But where I know you do a myriad of different things. I know you have your jewelry
Yeah.
line, and I know that you do
Yeah. Yeah.
I think supplements.
Yes,
Tell us.
Gold Water. Me and the brother 19 Keys, we have a health and wellness business called Gold Water Corp, and we have a myriad of products that our aim and our focus, our mission statement is to make our people in particular, but the world more healthier and smarter. So the line has a lot of CMOS incorporated into our pill lines. We have a lot of medicinal mushrooms like lion manes and cordyceps in our products as well. And our staple product is our gold, our monatomic and colloidal gold-based products. We got silver, of course, and yeah, it's just been amazing. Based on what? People's testimonials, people's results, people's breakthroughs. You know what I'm saying? That's what qualifies us, is the fact that people have been able, right, to extract experiences from it that have been life-changing.
Mhm.
And we're just thankful to play a part. However, you know what I'm saying, that part shows up. So that's Goldwater, GOLDEWATER. I have another project that is gonna be dropping any day now. Me and a brother wrote a book. This will be my first book. It's called Convos with the Cosmos.
Oh.
And it's us tracking all of the news in the world of science that took place last year while people were locked in the crib and distracted from everything else.
Mhm.
They changed the face of science. So many breakthroughs took place.
Mm.
And again, you'll hear me using this word a lot, symbiotic. It there was a symbiosis with the things that were happening to us as a people internally and the breakthroughs that we were going through, science was on our heels, just making observations and cataloging and changing, you know, everything. Like, would it be like, well, after this news comes out, we're gonna have to write all the textbooks over. They did that like 20 times last year. So we want to explain to people just what science is saying about who you are in relationship to the universe, right? Or what's going on with the sun and how it relates to you directly. So we can have context to why things are happening, right? The way that they are, to distract us so much. We were headed somewhere different coming out of 2019. Our trajectory was beautiful. We was talking about returning to the continent. They did the year, you know, they went back to Ghana. Ghana did $1.9 billion in less than a month in December of 2019. You know, we were about to be continental as a people, diasporic, just going everywhere, opening up new chains of business and commerce. And then it got interrupted and they locked the whole planet down. So there's a lot that we have to go over in terms of, you know, giving people the visuals and the eyes, because 2020 is about eyesight and you know, perfect vision. So, all right, well, what did you see? We want to share what we saw in that period of time. And it has a lot of biblical overtones as well, because a lot of those stories came into play in the last 2 or 3 years. You know, we could talk about it. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to be in church to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? This stuff lives within us. So it's a dope combination of science and mythology and you know, biblical narratives and the news. You know, it's very exciting, and we're doing it different. We're releasing it as an NFT because we want to make it, you know, more so virtual. You know, we want our pages to do things the pages have never done, graphics have never done. So it's you know, we put a lot of different technology into how we're delivering this project. That'll be dropping momentarily. The release date is May 4th, but we're going to do a pre-sale in the next few days. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Please do. And where can they get any more information, or if they wanted to get your supplements? And by the way, we have a someone on the
water
stream too that Katisha gave you a shout out. She says, Brother Blue Pill has helped me save and change my life. I am forever grateful for him and his family. She says she's a living witness to your products.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's honorable. Yes. GOLDEWATER, Gold Water, but gold with an E at the end. GOLDEWATER, right? And the E stands for exceptional, because these products are amazing.
And is that the website?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, got it.
That's the website, yes. And they could go to the Instagram page as well. You can go to my page. The link is in my bio at Blue Pillar 44.
Okay.
They could go to 19 Keys, his page. You know.
Okay. Yep. Well, we typed it down there in the stream message box too. We're not gonna hold you anymore because again, I know you're on travel in Arizona.
Like you said, the jewelry. You know, we do healing retreats as well to different, you know, energy vortexes around this country until we get outside of this country and do something outside. But now, you know, I'm on somebody else's retreat here in Arizona, but we're gonna be doing something in Sedona, Mount Shasta. You know what I'm saying? We have a healing mushroom retreat coming up in Atlanta. We're doing something in Brooklyn in May as well. So all of this stuff, you can keep in contact with me through Instagram and Facebook. On Facebook, my name is Paul Moreland. And on Instagram, it's at Blue Pillar 44.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we
I'm sure that there'll be more things coming, and you know, life is exciting. So we just keep coming up with more and more stuff. to share with the family and to roll out. You know what I mean? And shout out to Mama Pill. I can't leave her out. Shout out to Red Pill. Shout out to KT, the Arts Degree. Shout out to, you know, our extended family of teachers and researchers out there in the community, the AA Rashid of the world, Black Dots, Brother Rich with UGR on Black Magic 363 and his platform. You know, I have to mention Sonetta. You know, this is a individual who shared this platform with us for many years, that we got a lot of our foundational beginnings from in front of different audiences. Again, my business partner, 19 Keys, and the Shifters. You know, these are all people who have made paramount impacts in our lives. And you know what I'm saying? And I know where these individuals' hearts is at and their love for the people.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, thank you so much, Blue Pillar. We appreciate you again, and hopefully we can get you back on the program again for another topic, because you
do it again.
Yeah,
The more that I'm thinking, there's another crypto educational system that I'm a part of, right? Because again, this stuff can sound like Mandarin to people who don't get it. So you can come into an educational referral system that we have. There's a passive part of it where you can make passive crypto, but you don't have to engage in that initially if you don't understand how that works. You can just come in for the information and the education, which is free. So that's called the biggestcryptoplayever.com. And then there's also something called a Black World Order, BWO.com. And that is high, you know, financial literacy. And, you know, in that particular group, they also show you how to trade stocks and options, deal with life insurance, digital real estate, right? All of the things that we need to get ourselves affiliated with if we want to be the captains of our own ship. If we want to be the things that we keep saying, you know, we gods and we kings and all of this stuff that we keep talking about, that shit comes with a checklist. You got to have this in place, that in place, this in place. At least you should, right? Because, you know, these are the things that society is going to challenge you on. And you don't want to have to run back to them folks asking for help. You want to have your own. This way you can show other people how to do it. You know what I'm saying? This way you can build institutions to bring other people in when they come off of the nipple of Caesar in Rome, right? Because it's cool to tell people what they shouldn't be doing. But what are you know,
options.
What are the options? If you are a builder, if you are a provider, if you are a visionary, if you are a leader, where are you leading the people? You have to lead them into something. You know what I'm saying? And it should not be janky and shabby, right?
Yeah, real talk.
So these things are available and accessible right now through these platforms and these programs. And I want to thank you for sharing your platform and your program with me so I can share this information with your audience. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Truly do.
Yeah.
And thank you.
We
All
appreciate
right.
you. We
For your
appreciate
time.
you.
And your sharing your knowledge with us. We hope to have you back again, because it sounds like you held back some things from us, but that's okay. We're gonna let it slide this time.
Part two, we just need some more time. Like I said,
Yeah.
I don't, you know,
Part two.
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're
part two.
gonna give you some time for your retreats and everything, but we're gonna come back at you for part two for sure.
I'm ready for you when you're ready for me, and we can get it in.
Ashe.
You know what I'm saying?
Ashe.
All right.
Well, enjoy the rest of your trip. And
All
again,
right,
we
brother.
so sincerely appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
right. Until next time, family, take care of each other and share.
Yes.
Please share the information. Don't let it sit in your inbox or your, down your stream. Get it out there. Get it out there in the ethers.
Yeah, give it legs. Yes.
Yes.
Each one teach one. You know what I'm saying?
Teach mine.
Share this one for me like you got to share in my company, right? It don't cost us nothing to share. But if you was incentivized to do it, you would do it that much quicker. So share this one for me like you got shares in my company. If we win, you win. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Peace, love, and
That's
light.
it. All right, family. Peace and love.